Welcome back to Coaches on the Beach, and today we got a duo joining us down from Mercer. Josh and Rachel Marsh have joined us. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us. Looking forward to talking with you guys.
Yeah, we're excited. Thank you.
The dynamic duo, dare I say the only or one of two husband-wife combos in college beach volleyball. I think it's you guys and the recently married Pattons up at Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, yeah.
yeah, they're,
How
they're good people.
yeah, they work with their significant other, which I imagine poses some unique challenges. Tell us how that has gone thus far down there at Mercer.
So I will start and then obviously let Rachel finish up. I think it's been great. Kind of the dynamic that we bring to the team. We really feed off each other, and I think the girls feed off our energy really, really good. The way that I like to describe it is, I have a military background. I was in the Army for 14 years. 4 of those years being a drill sergeant. So I kind of take the more drill sergeant and direct, hey, this is what needs to happen. Quit goofing off, get to work. And then she kind of really feels when the vibe is maybe needing a little bit of a different direction, I guess would be a good way to say. So I'll kind of let her take it from there.
Yeah, I think it's actually been a lot of fun. Josh and I have coached together before a long time ago. We coached some indoor together. So it's not our first time doing it. And then we've both been coaches for so long and have always talked about what we do when we get home. Hey, how would you handle this situation? So it's been a lot of fun. I think I've been around the team since Josh has been there. So I've been familiar with the players, but this year I actually get to be a part of it. And I think what I really strive to do is bring that dynamic of kind of a female presence. We go out to practice. I mean, it's just the truth, naturally kind of pick up on when somebody's having a bad day. I can see that and I can say, hey, looks like, so and so's had a rough morning. And he's usually like, really? And he
Like,
has
what are
no
you talking
idea.
about? What are you talking about? Let's get to work.
Yeah,
You just need to run faster. Bend your knees, move.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that helps quite a bit. I mean, there are times when I'm actually, I think, the tougher coach.
Sometimes.
But we kind of bounce off of each other. So it's working really well. I'm having a lot of fun. So I'm glad he let me come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
But what we
man.
can do is play together.
And we don't play together. Our
It's
marriage
good
Not
to
is
get
good for the
one.
marriage. Not good for the marriage.
Well,
we
now
stop doing that a lot. Do go
the
ahead.
question is that energy the same at home, right? Is it like with things around the house? Is Josh a little more type A with it? And Rachel's like, hey, maybe we
Good
take it a little bit
questions.
easier. How's that kind of shake
Um,
out?
no, I mean, we've been married so long that everything here at the house just kind of happens organically. I mean, we don't really she doesn't do this specifically. I don't do that specifically. Although she won't mow. I won't let her touch the weed eater because last time I did, she broke it.
It's true.
So
True
I
story.
take care of the outside stuff. But no, we're chill. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Tell us how you guys kind of met and got into volleyball. I have to assume that it came kind of together, right? Volleyball and dating had to be it was a volleyball relationship, right, from the get-go.
Yeah, so I first picked up a volleyball in like 1993. Graduated high school in 91. Was out playing basketball at one of the local parks. That's all I played in high school. There was some local guys out there. They had a grass net set up, and I don't know why the one guy came over to me. I guess he's like, "Man, this guy jumps high. And he looks athletic." And he was like, "Hey, if you ever want to learn how to play this game, I'd love to kind of teach you." His name was Greg Chapman. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot." So started playing grass. Lived in Chico for a couple of years. A lot of really, really big grass tournaments there. They had the Jose Cuervo Gold Crown Series up there, Northern California. Joined the Army in 95, stationed at Fort Bragg. No grass. All they played was beach. Had an Air Force guy and an Army guy that were pretty high level. They kind of showed me the differences between the games. So started playing beach then. And then I'll let her kind of tell how we met. But yeah, it's a fun
Yeah.
story. It's a fun story.
So my history is pretty quick. I started playing volleyball in eighth grade. I actually went to my school to try out for the cheerleading team, and to the high school to try out for the cheerleading team. And I saw the volleyball players. I was like, oh, that looks like fun. I'd never done it before, and I've been playing ever since then. Made the team obviously, and I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina. I went to college at Charleston, but I never really, surprisingly, played a lot of beach. It was all indoor. And when I got older in college, it started picking up the beach game. long story short, moved to Columbus, Georgia, where Fort Benning is, and Josh was at Fort Benning. And we met there was this apartment complex called Whisperwood, and they had a beach court, and that's where everybody went to play, and that's where I met him. So we met actually playing beach volleyball.
And the rest is history.
Yes.
And the rest
The
is
rest is history.
Yeah, and you guys have a daughter who's also a pretty big volleyball fan. Molly plays in North Florida. I want to know a little bit about like that recruiting process, how it goes when you're like, well, our kid would probably help our program also, right? How do you kind
Yeah.
of have that?
Yeah. So that was a very interesting, month and a half, well, year and a half, really. You know, you can look up at the sky and I could tell Molly, hey, it's blue and there's some clouds, and she would look at me like, you don't know what you're talking about. So it wasn't until she went and played in a tournament in Captain Bill's and she actually let me coach her and she won that she was actually like, wow, maybe my dad does know what he's talking about. But she never had any aspirations to play for us,
Yeah.
which we're not upset about. But the recruiting process was interesting, just seeing it from the parent side, from the coaching side. So it was definitely an eye opener.
Yeah.
But yeah, playing down there at UNF for Doug, it's been awesome. It's definitely kind of a house divided, some interesting emotions when we're playing against them. And I've got kids that I'm coaching and they're playing my daughter.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but at least they are not in our conference anymore.
I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
coach if
It
they
would have
were.
been brutal if we were still in the ASUN. That would
Yeah.
have been rough.
If she had ended up going to a school in the Sun Belt, I would have to just sit those games out because I think it's harder for me than Josh being a mom. It's just that connection. And even if I'm trying to coach and I'm not coaching against her specifically, if I can hear her playing on another court, it's really hard for me. But she, from the beginning, when she started realizing she wanted to play in college, I mean, she said, I want to know that I earned this. I don't want anyone to ever think that I'm just getting to play because my parents were the coaches. I want to own this process. And she owned it and had a lot of different schools that she wanted to talk to and just fell in love with UNF. And we're really happy. I mean, all you can ask for is that you trust the coaches where your kid is. And we do. So,
Yeah. Oh, it's really cool. I think it's a super unique situation you guys have.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm sure there's some other coaches out there that have kids that play. I don't know if there's any that on the beach that are old enough yet. I mean, we're pretty old.
we're old.
And that kind of helps us from the coaching standpoint too. I wouldn't say that we're wise and we have lots of wisdom. I would just say that we're older. So we've had a lot more life experiences that just gives us these little nuggets of information that we can help the kids with. But definitely I wouldn't say that we're any wiser. We just have a lot more life under our belts.
Under our belts.
Yeah, and like with your journey, when did you start to realize that you wanted to coach Josh first, and then like getting into the coaching side of things? Like, what were you expecting versus what was reality at that point?
So when we lived over in Columbus, we had a sand court in our backyard, and there was often times where we would get people come out that weren't necessarily super skilled, but just love the game. And, I'd been playing a long time and they knew that I knew the game. So they would always ask, hey, what do I do here? What do I do with this? So that kind of got the seed planted of me maybe wanting to coach. And then, like Coach Rachel alluded to a little while ago, we coached indoor for A5 South. I'm sure you guys have heard of A5. They're a pretty big indoor club. So we coached there for a couple of years. And then the old indoor coach at Mercer, Derek Schroeder, when he took the program over in 2018, I believe, he had the beach team for 1 year. Obviously wasn't the greatest for him. So props to him. He called me. He got my contact information through the club director at A5 South. They kind of connected us. He called me up and said, hey, any interest in you coming down here and taking this beach program over? I never had any inkling of coaching at the Division I level. Sat down with Rachel and she's like, yeah, go for it. Went down, interviewed, loved the campus, met probably 4 of the current players, and they kind of told me the experience they had the previous year. And I'm like, you know what? I think I can really help this program out. So I'm decided to do it, and it's going into my 8th year, and it's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I coached a lot of indoor, and then when our daughter COVID year was her last year playing indoor, the season ended early, and she had dabbled in beach, and I had a small juniors club. I started it just so she'd have a coach. And COVID year, it blew up. And I had probably 30, I was always a small club, but at that time, that year I had 30 players. And it just kind of grew from there. And I wanted to major in physical education in college, and my dad, who's the retired school administrator, told me not to, which was a smart move because they started cutting PE classes. So when I started having the opportunity to do more coaching, I worked in the corporate world for 20 years. It was just a grind every day. And this is really, I feel like I'm doing what I was put on this earth to do. And getting to do it with him, with Josh, is pretty fun most days.
She's all right. We get along pretty good.
It's awesome, and you, like you said, going into your 8th year, but you guys have done not just an incredible job with the athletes and giving them an experience. Because I remember some of the early days. Obviously, Damian Elder was the starter of that Mercer program, but then when Dex took over, Dex
Yes.
notoriously has no desire to go with beach volleyball. He's currently at
Yeah,
Jackson
he made
State.
that very evident.
Yeah, he's currently at Jack State. They just cut their program, right? So it's,
Yeah.
not that they were funding it particularly well to begin with, but it seems to be a trend. If you have beach
Yeah.
where Dex goes to coach, it dies. And so you took that program from playing a quote unquote schedule to winning 24, sorry, I'm
24.
24 matches last year. I would
24.
say anytime you can go from 7 to 24 over the course of 3 or 4 years is a pretty incredible turnaround of a program. Tell us about like how you see that back in 2019, and then how you guys build it. Rachel, you've been around the program the whole time, whether you've been on staff or not is another part of it. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
an important part of your life as much as it is Josh
Right.
and that kind of deal.
Yeah, so I sat down with the AD that first year, the SWA, and during the whole interview process, they made it completely 100% clear upfront, complete transparency that they were not going to support the program with any athletic scholarships. I said, okay, fine. Made it through that first year. It's the schedule that Dex already had built. This was 2019. They were borderline just going to bring me in for that 1 year, and they were going to get rid of the program. They were just going to get rid of beach altogether. Thankfully, had enough of the girls that were on the team that first year go in and talk to, when they have the end of season meetings with the administration. They said, keep the program. We like what he's doing. He's got a good goal. He's taking care of us. So the whole idea of then getting into a program went away. Rolling into the second year, sat down with the AD and said, okay, I made it through the first year. Things are going good. He said, I'll tell you what, if you can prove to me that you can recruit just on academics for the next 2 years, I will go to my bosses about getting you some athletic money. That is the next year is the year I brought in that huge class. That was my 11 freshman class. I didn't
Nice,
actually,
they graduated this year, right?
I didn't actually research it, but I'm pretty sure that was probably the biggest freshman class in the NCAA. Probably 11. That's a pretty big number. So those 11 kids, 8 of them made it through the 4 years. So, kind of the growth of the program, like you said, 24 wins. We went 7 wins when they were freshmen. Then we went 11 wins when they were sophomore. Then we went 17 wins when they were juniors. And then they graduated with 24.
Yeah.
So their willingness to kind of just stick it out with me and grow and evolve is just kind of a testament to the program we have, the culture. But I still remember rallying Atlanta, their first preseason event when they were freshmen, playing UAB and playing Georgia State. It was an aha moment for them because a lot of those kids I recruited in that 11 kid class, hardly any of them had very much beach experience, if any at all. Katie Corbett, perfect example. She was Sun Belt second team all conference this year, and she'd never played beach before. She came in with 0 beach experience as a freshman, and she turned into one of my best players. I mean, her and Nicole, my scrappy lefty,
Yeah,
they
I
set the
remember her.
all-time wins in the fours this year. They had 26 wins in the fours.
Yeah,
And she had 0 beach experience.
You're Colin.
I'm familiar with Nicole. I can't say my heart broke when I found out she was graduating this year.
Yeah, she could bring it. She could bring it.
When the wind picked up on a side wind and you knew you were playing Mercer, all you sat there and thought to yourself was, please God, don't let Nicole get on a heater because
Yeah.
she really
Yeah,
got served for the last like 2
unfortunate
years.
for you, but awesome for her is one of her best performances was against you guys. I mean, that third set was
Fun to watch.
just
I'm
incredible, just
I'm
incredible.
honored to have been inspiring enough to create one of her best performances of all time.
Yes, it was.
Um,
She will remember that. She'll remember those 5 minutes for the rest of her life. So, and that's
Isn't
what
it
it's all about.
something? I mean,
Yeah.
we had just to bring it up, like Rydell, who's now Michael's assistant, and obviously was in our ones for 3 years. Like one of the matches she remembers the most is going off against Bella and Angel Ferrari, the final
Mhm.
match of her career. And obviously
Yeah.
Nicole got another one after that. But yeah, it's funny how much like 5 minutes of pure inspired play can
Yeah,
really set the tone for what was already an incredible career as we
Yeah, and
all
I think
know.
for
I
sure.
think that's a great point for all coaches is, for all of us, kind of one of the most important things to me as a coach is we have to leave our egos at the door. We're all in some ways, I guess, chasing that ring. And yes, that's a program goal, but we can't forget all the little things that happen that mean so much to these players and that they're always going to remember. And to make sure those are important and that we remember those moments, because at the end of the day, the majority of these players, they're not going to go play pro. They're going to go do something else in life. So we just want to create those memories for them. And that's the type of stuff, Colin, that they remember. And yeah, maybe they didn't go get a ring, but they remember that moment and they'll tell their kids about it. And I think that's super important.
Yeah, it'll be
100%.
it'll be fun forever to remember that. The
Right.
when they meet up in 10 years and they're having a couple beverages, they'll be like, "Yeah, man, do you remember Nicole when you went off against Coastal in that
Yep.
senior year?" Like that's a great thing. And so,
Or
That's
um,
right.
anytime you
Yeah,
see
it's all about
Colin, you can
memories.
get under his skin with just bringing it up. That's always a fun thing too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, as long as Josh promises to play in our coaches game every time we see each other,
I will
rest assured
try.
you'll
I
get
will
under my
try.
skin.
I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So
Don't pull anything. We'll jump it to
yeah,
quads next
yeah. I
year.
mean, I was
Hey,
having
dude.
so much fun too, and then boom, there goes the calf. But hey, it is what it is.
Um, talking about building it, what are some of the things you talked about your culture? What are some of the things distinct to Mercer and to your group that you guys feel like have ushered in that 8 out of 11 freshmen that stuck around for 4 years and built something as a group? What are some of the things you guys feel you do special?
Yeah, I mean, I know every program says that we're a family. I don't want to say it's a cliche, but I think that's definitely something that might get thrown around more so than it needs to. Um, we have a program where even if we don't force the fun just happens organically. I mean, I don't know how many times, we've asked the kids, what did you do this weekend? And they were all together on their own accord, not something that we had to tell them to do. Um, we we really, really strive to take care of the kids. I when I recruit, I spend a lot of time talking to mom and dad, and I just kind of let the kids go off with some of the current players. And I said, I want you guys to feel like you trust us enough to almost feel like we're their mom and dad away from you guys. So I think really fostering that has helped. And just the kids, just the trust of the kids. Those 11 freshmen, they're going away and just completely not having a clue of what to expect. Um, but I mean, just so many good memories with those kids, and hopefully we can,
Keep it.
continue bringing in kids that kind of fit that. We know when we do our recruiting, we kind of do a little litmus test where if some of the current players don't feel like they're going to fit culturally, I don't care how good of an athlete they are, we're probably not going to recruit them. So we rely really heavily on just kind of getting the feedback of our current players of, hey, what do you think of this kid? So you got anything to add to that, Coach?
I would say two things. One, I think having a daughter who is a college athlete helps us understand what these kids are going through and what their parents are going through. So I think that helps. I mean, we don't always get it right, but I think that helps us kind of really pay close attention to those things. And I want to every day, as much as possible, treat our players like I hope that our daughter's being treated, right? Like I hope Molly's being treated the way we're treating our players. So that's kind of what motivates me every day to get out there is, okay, I may be having a bad day, but if Doug's having a bad day, he's still going to be a good coach. So I'm going to be a good, I hope he is anyway. I'm going to be a good coach for these people. But I think when you talk about culture, I think the word culture, kind of like the word family, it gets overused. It's a very important word. But this is kind of funny, but I like to watch National Geographic animal shows. Anyway, I was watching one back in May and it was about whales. And the marine biologist was talking about, I think it was sperm whales, and he was talking about how there are pods of sperm whales all over the world. He was naming the places, and he said the sperm whales all have similar behaviors. They all hunt for food. They do this, but each pod has its own culture. And he said, behavior is what you do, culture is how you do it. And I stopped the video and I wrote it down because I was like, well, that actually really, that kind of simply says what culture should be for any team, any corporation, anybody. Because all three of us, we all do the same behaviors. We have practices, we travel, we cheer on the sidelines, we work on setting, we work on hitting, we work on passing. But that culture piece is how Coastal does it, how Austin P does it, how Mercer does it. How do we cheer on the sidelines? So all of that, we are very specific about at Mercer, and we have the team involved in defining that culture. Team, what do we want to represent on the sideline? How do we want to cheer? How do we want to handle when a practice isn't going well? What are you going to do? And so we define how we do it, which is the culture. And I think that's super important.
Yeah, and we have our base culture, and it's kind of, you might have seen it on the back of some of our t-shirts, is we grow and compete as a family. That kind of is a really quick little synopsis of what our culture is. But we sit down at the beginning of every year because it's going to be a completely new team. We might have returners, but we've got freshmen, we've got kids who might have completely done a 180 with just who they think they are over the summertime. So we sit down at the beginning of every year, and we have our culture, but it's like, okay, what are we going to be this year? What is Mercer volleyball? How are we going to encompass our culture? And how is it going to look this year? What are our goals for preseason? What are our goals for competition? What are our goals, our long-term goal for the entire season? I talked to Michael a little bit about this last week. So yeah, we have our culture, but we go into every season with kind of a new mission, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you're gonna have those waves, like we've talked about your wonderful freshman group from 2020 or 2021, right? They just graduated. You're about to usher in a brand new era of Mercer Beach volleyball.
For sure.
We just went through that last year.
Yep.
We graduated.
It's exciting.
It's something. Is exciting the term?
That four-year cycle is crazy. I can't believe I'm going into my second 4-year complete cycle. It's crazy. So.
Yeah, and it's awesome, and you get to see so much beautiful growth. And you're talking about the family. I think Macon has its own unique experiences that you can go check out, but also there is a lot of space to do things as a group. What are some of the pieces that make Mercer University and Macon, Georgia super special for you guys when it comes to bringing in that recruiting process?
So they're doing a lot of renovation downtown, which is always nice. From a safety aspect, any decent sized city is going to have their issues. I'm thankful enough to only have one incident that's taken place in my entire 8 years where the police actually had to get involved with one of my players. So that's good. As far as getting out and do stuff, lots of places to go hiking. We have the Ocmulgee River where they can go tubing. The beach is close. Fort Walton Beach is a 4.5-hour drive. The Atlanta airport's close.
We have the largest indoor pickleball facility in the country.
In the country.
Oh,
sold. Yeah. So they took an old indoor mall here and converted it into pickleball courts.
So why is it not in the scheduling email when you guys invite teams to your tournament?
We should do that.
We
should totally.
I feel like, hey,
pickleball. I'm trying to hold out as long as I can. I've never played.
A lot of our players play. There's actually pickleball courts right up by our campus too, and they go out there and play all the time. So that's really fun. And we have football. We're a smaller school, but we have a football team.
Really good football team.
Really good. They won conference last year, so we are. As far as on campus, lots of sports activities. I think our school is small enough that you don't feel like you're in big enough that you don't feel like you're in a fishbowl, but small enough that you know people and you can connect with people. So it's really fun.
Yeah, we're down to 30,000. Auburn or UGA.
Yeah.
Is it like a legal requirement to know who the Allman Brothers are when you go to Macon, or is that like something you're allowed to learn along the way?
I guess you can learn that along the way because that's a new one on me. So
Yeah, no, I didn't kind of like Sarah until I moved here.
You didn't know that the Allman Brothers were there until you guys moved there?
Nope.
didn't know until you said something about it.
Oh man,
News to me. News to me.
have you guys been to H&H yet?
No.
Oh my gosh. All right, so you got to go to H&H. It's this little breakfast joint. It's
Oh, so one of our players told me about it. Yes.
it's so good. First of all, it's so good. Second, it's where the Allman Brothers used to hang out. So like you guys have
Okay.
to go make
All
that.
right,
we
well, see,
get out.
we learned something.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's one of my, I don't know. I know a lot of useless information, as people like to point out. And knowing that the Allman Brothers are from Macon, Georgia, as well as Jason Aldean, if I'm not mistaken. So
Jason Aldean. And then
Okay.
there's some new dude that Molly was telling us about that hit it big on Spotify, and he's from here too. One of his songs references Macon, Georgia. I can't
Wow.
remember his name.
Okay. Check it out.
and the famous Macon Bacon, the collegiate summer
Macon
camp.
Bacon.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was a skate park. I picked up skating again. I don't know why. I
Skateboarding.
knock on wood. I haven't hurt myself too bad yet.
There you
But the Macon Bacon baseball team's arena is right by the skate park. So
You got to hit up Damien, right? You know who used to make custom skateboards?
really, I did not know
I
that.
did-
Our conference.
I just
Go ahead,
go
Rachel.
ahead.
I was just gonna say our conference, from a coaching standpoint, must have the most unique collection of humans
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
on the
we're
planet.
eclectic,
We have a
for sure.
world-class pianist. We have a former drill sergeant in the army.
Yeah,
We have a
yeah.
former custom skateboard maker. We have Beth Van Fleet, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
got to count for something.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah.
that's his own
Yeah.
right there.
That's his own.
We
She's
just have,
her own
as
genre.
a group, we have a strange conglomerate of coaches.
No,
We
that,
do.
yeah. Reference to Dave, one of the coolest cats I've ever met,
Oh yeah.
hands down.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
So I heard that Dave at his end of the season, recognizing his players, he wrote a haiku for every one of his players.
He's
Yep.
got the kind of talent to do
That is-
stuff like
That's
that.
impressive.
So Dave Fisher.
Yeah. That is David
Love
Fisher.
to
I'm
have
sure
been
he
in the
did it.
Airstream when him and Jack Quinn used to travel around and play in ADPs. That would have been just a fly on the wall on those road trips would have been.
Yeah, including when the Airstream caught fire in Denver.
Hot fire.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think that is
And he
all
lost,
time.
lost all his board shorts and all his VHS tapes. Yeah, he told me that story.
I would have loved to have
Yeah.
seen not the fire itself, but how Dave like went up to people and was like, "Hey, could I get a T-shirt from you?"
Yeah.
Like I would love to
So my Airstream just burned down. Do you have any boardies?
be. Do you have any shorts? What a strange question.
No, that's great.
Yes, for sure.
I want to
Wow.
ask Rachel about one of the posts that I read on social media about
Uh-oh.
your experience this past year of having a daughter playing and also coaching at the same time. I thought it was really, really great insight onto both worlds at one time. And so I'd love to kind of just open it up to you about what your experience was and like what kind of advice you would give to a coach who doesn't have any children or a parent going through the recruiting process or having their daughter play at a university.
Yeah, I remember that post. And thank you for reading it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, being a coach, having Josh he's been a college coach. I thought I was totally prepared for Molly to go off to college. And I realized, and I thought she was totally prepared. And I realized quickly that probably more prepared than some, but it is a huge adjustment. And kind of generally in what I wrote there, I just advised, I guess the key things, if I had to make it smaller, is as a parent, we all do it as parents. We want to say, they always say, I love watching you play, but you always want to know, how are you doing? Like, no, really, how are you doing? Like if you play for Colin, so what did Colin say today? Did Colin say you did good? And I would give every parent the advice, don't do that. Because they're going off, and not only do they feel the pressure, especially if they were really good as a junior, and now they're coming as a freshman, and hey, guess what? Everybody that Coach Doug recruited, Colin recruited, Coach Josh recruits, they're just as good as you. And some of them have been there as long as you. You're no longer in this big group of people, and you have to give them time. Because in addition to going off and really thinking they have to prove themselves, they're adjusting to managing their own schedule. They're adjusting to go into classes at all kinds of times. They're meeting new friends. They're having temptations to do things that probably aren't the best for their performance as an athlete. And one of the things I quickly learned was there were times when you will talk to your child and they won't say a word. Hey, how was today? Great. And your first thought is to really dig and dig and dig. But what I learned is it was better for me to just let those conversations naturally happen and organically happen. And when she was ready to talk, she'd talk. And if you know your kid well enough, you know whether they're having a great day, whether it's something you do need to press and interfere. But in most cases, just let them talk. So I learned that would be my first advice. Don't press, don't ask them if their coach thinks they're doing well. Don't ask them, who did you get to play with today? Do you think you'll play next weekend? All those things you want to ask as a parent, don't. Because what they hear is, my parent is only going to be happy if I'm getting to play. And you don't mean it that way, but that's what they hear. Let them grow, let them come to you, let them start talking more. So that would be my first piece of advice. As a coach, being aware that those freshmen come in with those trials and those tribulations. And I think that's going back to what kind of the combination of me and Josh on the court is, and having had a daughter, I can see, she's having a bad day. And I can let him know that, and just being aware of that. I think that we all as coaches are guilty of, hey, we're so glad you're here. Man, you are so good. I'm so excited you're here. And they hear, I have to be perfect. And so I think that would be my biggest piece of advice there. And the number one most important thing is for parents is to make sure your kids know that it is okay to take advantage of any mental health support that a college provides. We all provide it, I think we all provide it. And it is a huge adjustment for these kids. And there is nothing wrong with saying, I need somebody to talk to who's not my roommate, who's also on my team, who's not my parent, who has all these expectations for me, who's not my coach, who's going to say, suck it up, I need you out there. And they can just go and have that conversation with. And as coaches, just making sure that when a player comes to you and says, I am really struggling, I'll be honest, I'm old school. So sometimes when people come to me, I'm like, I'm just having a bad day. My first thought is they're just trying to get out of practice. That's how it was when I played. But I've learned to be patient and understand that the pressures these players have on them today, these athletes, these young adults. I mean, I can fully admit it, and I'm way back. What are we, we're Gen X, I think.
You guys are 29, I thought.
The pressure.
Right?
Do what?
You guys are 29.
I'm not a baby
right?
boomer. I'm not that old.
Yeah, you're not a boomer.
The pressure that young athletes, young adults have today on them is so huge, and we just need to be aware of that. So I think I said a lot more in that post, but those would be the key ones: the mental health support and just letting them learn and letting them fail.
Yeah.
I
not
trying to save them.
For any coaches or parents to go and look at this. I think I saw it on Facebook. If you don't mind accepting a bunch of friend requests, that's a good place to look at it. And then one final question that we always ask, and I'm very interested to hear this answer from both of you guys, is what do you guys want to see next out of NCAA beach volleyball? Especially right now, we're in this turbulent time where some programs are dropping. We're not quite sure about budgets of other programs. Travel is getting a little bit more restricted. What are you guys looking at and saying, yeah, here's our bright spot for the future?
So we talk about this a lot. I don't want to say I'm going to make people mad, but I might raise some eyebrows. Rachel read an article the other day, and don't quote me on the math specifically, but the percentage of players between the two final teams in the NCAA that were international competitors was, in my opinion, higher than it should be. I think it was 75%. TCU specifically, I want to think 7 of the 10 starters were international kids.
And the domestic.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but what the only kind of thing I'll throw out there is I think there's a lot of kids here, domestic kids, I guess would be a way to say it, that are as skilled as some of the international kids. So I'm like I said, not right or wrong, but I would, and I talked to my compliance guy about that today. I would be surprised if within the next couple of years that there's not some type of, um, I don't want to say another deal with Oregon players or whatever, but I think that's going to get raised. And then as far as the NIL, I mean, it seems like the landscape is changing every single day. So I really don't know what's going to happen there. I just want to take care of our kids and hopefully our program sticks around. But yeah,
Yeah, I think from the international standpoint, we're not talking about like there's I know a girl who's on the tennis team who came from Spain, but she came in as a 17-year-old. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the international players who are playing pro for their country, and then they're coming here and they're dominate. And there's nothing against those players; they are phenomenal players. But we are coaching and training them possibly to the detriment of our players. And look what happened to us in the last Olympics. So we need to be developing our players, our United States players who are going to represent us. And we need to be paying attention to these young adults who are playing here, these young women who are playing here and coming up in the ranks that they are offered in America or the United States. Is it America or the United States?
It's probably the United States.
Who come in and then they go for their dream and they're there, and then these international players come in January. I think there's balance there. I think it's okay to have a couple on your team if that's what you want to do, but when the entire team is that, I mean, I guess we said it, we're probably going to ruffle some feathers. But
yeah, I mean, I just think it's the focus maybe got a little bit skewed in my opinion in that regard,
But in defense of a coach who's doing that, I think some of these schools are demanding you have to win a national championship. So that pressure on them as coaches, they're like, well, if I've got to win a national championship and I've got to do it within these X number of years, I've got to bring players in. So it's kind of, I'm not sure where the change needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And we appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys coming on the show for us and talking about your program. We'd love to see the growth over the last so many years, and especially the serving strategy, as I've talked with you, Josh, about multiple times. I love to see you guys' serves and how you guys built that up for sure. But
yeah, feel free to stunt the growth a little bit before our conference.
No, we're gonna keep ripping.
That's our secret sauce.
Feel free to slow it down a little bit if your heart so desires.
Faster the better. We're shooting for 45 for sure.
There you go.
awesome. All right, we will talk to you guys later.
All right, you guys be good. Thanks.